Good morning, virtual villagers. I'm Kate from What Kate Made. Welcome along to my session this morning. Today we are going to look at making wire trees. Um, I'm going to show you the example I made yesterday. Well, I made the tree actually before Christmas, which is what gave me the idea. But yesterday I was gifted a lot of sea glass by a friend who collected loads, and then she's just never really used it. And so the little wire tree I made before Christmas, I have upgraded with tiny bits of green sea glass like leaves. So you can see, I think you can see it all there. This is my tree. This is paper covered florist wire. So it's white, it's covered in white paper. You can get it in brown and green as well. It's quite fine. Um, it's quite readily available. The little bits of sea glass, I just picked out tiny green bits that were leaf-like, if that makes sense. Um, just bear with me a second. I'm just trying to get up the live feed so I can see who's there and see your comments. I'm really pleased with how this has turned out. You don't have to decorate your tree with leaves. Or if you do, if you aren't lucky enough like me to be given this beautiful sea glass, I got 3 huge boxes. It's amazing. You can use beads. I've got here some little seed beads. I'm going to use those in my demo. Or you can use buttons. I just picked up, I keep my buttons in jars of colours. I just picked the first one off the shelf. So, but I will show you how you can wire buttons on instead. So what are we going to use today? You'll need pliers. I've got a pair of nipping pliers and a pair of twisting pliers. You'll need wire. What I'm going to use today is this is very fine silver florist wire. Comes in little bundles. I mean, that bundle's got, I don't know how many's in it, but that bundle, if you can see the thickness of it at the bottom, can you see that? That's about what you'll need to make a tree. Another source of wire, which I struggled with yesterday, is electrical cable. If you've got, if you can get some of the like waste cable that's got the multi-core copper wire in it, rather than the single-stranded copper wire, you can strip all the plastic off and you can separate the strands, and you can make your tree out of that, which is really nice because the copper's beautiful. It really has a glow to it. But the other sort of wire, the coloured wire, the wire I used for my first one is, it's still in the packet this, but I'm going to get it out. This is paper covered florist wire. So it's covered with a thin layer of paper that gives it the colour. You can also get that in green and brown as well, but I used the white because it was a wintry thing I was making. There's also this, which is a plastic coated green wire, and again that's about the same thickness, maybe slightly thicker than the silver wire, so you would use the same amount. What else have I got here? I've got my glue stick, pliers I've shown you, some scissors. I've still got some of the sea glass that I sorted out a little bit, but I'm not going to use that today. I think that's everything. I've got your feed up. Who's there at the moment? Mickey. Hello, Mickey. Thank you. I will just turn my camera down and make sure you can see everything. See my workspace. Let's double check I've got you in there. I have to bend down and have a look. Yeah, I have. Right. Okay. So, as I said before, I'm going to use about this much wire. This is very fine. You want to get it so that all the ends are sort of similar size. And what we're going to do is we're going to bind it at the bottom. I'm just going to use this piece of wire that I had left over, and I'm just going to bind it like that. This is going to make the trunk of our tree, and I've bound it up by about an inch, maybe just slightly more. And what you can then you can see that's going to be the trunk of the tree. So what you do now, it's quite simple. You're going to divide it into how many did I divide it into? Three different strands. So they don't have to be equal because these are going to be your sort of principal branches. So you can have one thinner than the other, that's fine. And then I'm going to divide that like that. So I've got 3 sections that are different widths, and then we're going to start by winding, I should say, these round. So you want to be twisting your bundle. Now the way I'm doing it there is just by twisting a couple of strands around the rest. And you're going to do that until you get a branch of, you know, the length you want, and then we're going to divide them again. And again, I'm going to divide it into 3. So I've now got a thinner one there, which I can twist, and you just keep dividing and twisting. What you want to be left with is, it's quite a lot of work, this is about 3/4 of an inch left at the end, because that's where you're going to put your decoration if you want to decorate it. You don't have to. So again, I'm going to wind on this thicker one. I'm going to wind one of the pieces round. It's quite therapeutic, I find this. I think it's quite easy to just do it and just get lost. So if I go quiet and not talking to you, it's because I'm just enjoying it, which is what crafting should be all about. So I think I might, this top bit, so that's my sort of my first narrow branch. I'm going to, you can keep splitting. You don't have to just end there with that. So this thicker side, I can start splitting a bit more. Sorry, I've got bits of strings of glue left over from yesterday. So then I'm going to divide it again into 3 again. That's a little bit uneven. I'll take that one there, and I'm going to twist this one so far, and then do the same with this one. I think this is actually probably going to be one of the shortest demonstrations I've done, because it is quite simple, and there isn't a lot I can say. You just keep working at it. Okay, so that's my that branch divided up, and then I'm going to divide again here into 2s, and every time you divide it you get more branches and it builds the shape of your tree. You could even divide them again, but the silver wire is quite fine. The paper covered wire that I used on this tree is thicker. So if you, I mean, I don't know how closely you can see that. These have got down to 2 strands and then eventually to 1 strand because it's thicker wire. These I probably won't go down to 1 strand because it's going to be too fine at the ends. It will bend too easily. So I think that probably is about as far as I'll go with that one. Now this one, the branch is longer. I mean, and you can trim them. That's what the pliers are for. So I will keep that one going. I might trim those a bit shorter. And it's very therapeutic. You just keep going and going until you've got the shape that you like. You want to obviously have a realistic tree shape, or semi-realistic, because it's silver wire after all. So you keep dividing and twisting. And don't worry about it being neat, because the less neat it is, the more tree-like it is. So you can see that's starting to look very sort of random and tree-like, and you just keep bending it round and shaping it till you get the shape you want. I'll just keep twisting. Now, as regards the base, the one that I made yesterday, I just stuck it into a piece of that's just blue tack, and I did that because I needed it to be fairly stable while I stuck the sea glass on it. You can wire them in with the beads and the buttons. We will use the wires and wire them on, so we won't be gluing them, which makes life a little bit easier. But the sea glass I got didn't have any holes in it, so I thought the easiest way to get it on is to just glue it. I've got the wrong glasses on today as well. It's a little bit difficult to pick out the ends. So got a few people watching. Give us a wave and say hello if you're out there. If they've got any questions, I shall do my best to answer them. As I said to you earlier, I do tend to get very carried away and in a little world of my own doing this. But please ask any questions you like. I got my supplies from an online retailer. But you can get florist supplies at the likes of at craft shops like Hobbycraft and probably a local craft shop as well. So florist supplies are quite easy to come by. The wire isn't expensive. And you can, or you could use jewelry wire. I got wire on a bobbin. Let me see if I can see it and show you. I've got multiple bags of wires. So I've got this kind of wire. I've got this in green and I've got it in silver. I might show you a little bit of how that works as well. So now you can see my tree is starting to take shape. What I'm probably going to have to do is put some more wire around my stem. I've started bending a bit higher up than I expected to. I'm just going to actually move this, start working on this bit of wire as well, so you've got a better idea of what it's going to look like at the finish. I am binding that instead of twisting it, just because it's a big bunch, that. But I'm going to start by dividing this again into 3. I don't know why I quite like 3 as a split. I don't know whether that might be going back to my florist training with my mum. My mum was a florist and she always put an uneven number of flowers in because it's more pleasing to the eye, apparently. And it's right. I tend to, even when I'm gardening and planting up tubs and troughs and things, I always put in an uneven number. Just shows you what an influence your parents have on you, even unbeknownst. I'm going to give those 3 a twist around themselves, because the twisting the branches does give them a nice pleasing knobbliness to them, which is quite sort of a natural tree thing. But we want our tree to have a pleasing, almost organic shape to it. If you find your branches are tangling together like that, just pull them apart. It's easy enough to do. I'm going to split this again and twist it. Now the bit we leave at the end is where we're going to put on our decoration. I'll show you how to fasten on beads and buttons. So mentioned last time I was on, we've got 3 new dogs. Well, 3. 2. God, that was a bit of a Freudian slip. I couldn't manage 3. We've been fostering for a local, a northern rescue. We've got 2 little boy Shih Tzus staying with us till they find their new homes. And if I sound a bit tired, that's why. They're driving me. They're so lively and so they're very young. But I am being very inspired craft-wise by making things for dogs. So they've all got new coats, and because they're so tiny, everything I had didn't fit them. And I've had Shih Tzus before, so I had, you know, small dog things. Anyway, so you're probably going to find that in coming sessions you might get something dog related. And the weather hasn't helped. It's been so damp and dreary. So we're getting there now. We're nearly at the end of our last branch. And then I'll start showing you how you put your gems on, or whatever it is you're going to put on them. Nearly there. Last bit. This bit here. I'm just going to split this in two, I think, and make bigger branches. I made these with my, we have a community art group in my village that I belong to. And we made these before Christmas, which is when I made my white one. The theme of that session was winter. So that was why it was white. It was a winter tree. Winter without being Christmas. So there we go. Once you've got a pleasing shape, I'm just going to wire the stem a bit more. And the nice thing with the wire is if you get it out of shape, when you're doing like bits like this, where you're kind of still finishing off the maintenance of it, you can just bend it back. You're not going to break, you're not going to ruin it. Now, if you like, you could add more wire to this stem and make it a little bit more knobbly, so it look more like a tree trunk. I'm not going to do that because I'm aware I want to move on. Right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just remove my tree from this piece of blue tack. It's not stuck down, it's just blue tack on a bit of wood. What you can do is use air drying clay instead if you wanted it to be on a little mound like mine was. The other thing you can do is if you've got wood slice like this is drill a little hole in the middle. That's thick enough for your wire to go through, and then you can glue it in, and then it will stand. That piece of wood is broad enough at the base to allow your tree to not wobble, if you see what I mean. I'm trying to think of how to say that then. Right, so the reason I've taken the blue tack off is I'm going to put the blue tack on it on the table and stick the tree in it. So I've got a solid base to work with. The tree isn't moving while I'm trying to do things with it. It does stick quite well, the blue tack, to the table. And then I'm going to just use my scissors to make a hole in it, because I found yesterday the wire kept bending when I was trying to poke it in. So that will hold the tree while I manipulate it. So I want to just start by moving this branch a little bit more so it fills up the middle a little bit, and then maybe bring this one, you just bend it into the shape so it looks nice how you want it. It's a little bit out of kilter, but it's nature, and nature isn't symmetrical, as I found out recently when I went to get new glasses and realized I've got a really wobbly face. They wouldn't sit straight. Right, so I'm going to show you first how you would put a button on, just because I'm not going to use a lot of buttons, so I'll just do that first and then we can move on. I'm trying to find one. There's a nice dark blue one there, so that will show up. This one has got 4 holes in it. However, we probably aren't going to use all 4. So what I will do is, with one of my little end branches, I'm going to push it through. This has got a bit of glue on the back. It's probably not a good example, that. Let's try this one, which has only got 2 holes. We're only going to use 2 holes anyway. You're going to just push the wire up through one hole, then bend it. We'll let it dangle and we'll bend it. This is the fiddly bit. Yesterday I got glue everywhere. You've got to have quite a delicate touch. So you want your wire to come through, and then you're going to twist it to hold it in place. It's as simple as that. That's your button on. Now I've got to get it off. I think I might just cut it off because untwisting it's going to be a little bit time consuming. So I'm just going to nip the wire. There we go. Okay, so the beads are very similar. I think this is going to be quite a short session today. Right, so these are my seed beads. They're all quite pale pastel colours. You can use whatever you like. They don't even have to be seed beads. They can be bigger beads. The only thing I would be wary of, and I thought this was a sea glass, but it didn't turn out to be the case, is that the weight of the pieces doesn't bend the wire down. It's not too much weight. But these are very lightweight. I'm going to go with the pinks, I think, because I want it to look like cherry blossom. So again, you decide where you want to put your bead. Feed the wire through. It's a bit easier with the beads because they only have one hole and they're not as bulky. And then just twist the bead. And you want to twist it and keep twisting it until the bead doesn't move. The wire's tightened up sufficiently to hold it. And that's not quite there yet. And again, don't worry about other branches getting in the way, because you might, at the end of this, you might want to use your pliers to do your twisting. It might be easier. Let's get a pair of pliers. Let's put another one on. So I'm thinking cherry blossom. I'm going to bend that wire in half. And this is also, by bending it in half, you are kind of thickening up these end twigs. If you want to use your pliers to grip your bead with while you twist, I've got very fumble fingered at the moment. So getting my fingers in there is a little bit difficult. Can you see all of this? I'm assuming you can. There. So you carry on adding your beads in all your different colours of pinks, and I've got the wrong glasses on and they're not very I can't see very well with them in close to. This is why I've gone for new glasses. I went last week and got my eyes tested, so I'm waiting for them. So I'm going to twist that. And I'm just going to keep turning it as I go so I can see from a different angle if there's anything else that then needs tidying up, like this little bit of wire sticking out there. So I'm going to tidy that up. I'm going to put one of every pink I've got, I think. Those two need to be separated out. And again, it's just whatever you find pleasing, whatever suits your, the idea you've got in your head. There's no right and wrong way of doing this. It's not showing up very well, I would think, because the beads are very pale. But I'm sure you can see what I'm doing. Normally I have my sessions timed to about half an hour. But yesterday, because I was kind of like doing it for the first time, it took me longer. And today it's not. I like to give value for money in my sessions. But if you're getting the gist of it in the shorter time, then you're still getting what, Plus it means I get to go to lunch earlier. And you do, because we're always on before lunch. So I'm not going to do them all because that would be pretty boring. but I'll just twist this last one on. It's proving a bit stubborn. So I'll bring that a little bit closer to the camera. You can see how the beads have gone on the end, and you can imagine that by the time you've done all these little strands separately with a bead, how it will fill the tree out. I'm going to carry on doing a few more. What I'll try and do is post pictures of it when it's finished, but I will just go back to the one I did yesterday with the sea glass and explain a little bit more about what I did with that one. Put this last bead, oops, can't see. It is quite fiddly, and you have to have a lot of patience. All right, let's just pop that one to one side, and I'll go back to the sea glass one. So this one, if you look on the back, they're quite clumsily glued on. I just used the hot glue gun because I was doing this is the first time I've done something like this. I wasn't really sure how the sea glass would work. One thing I did find was if you glue the glass, looks like I lost one there. I put another one on and show you. If you glue the glass, the glue sets straight away because the glass is obviously cool. So you need to glue the wire and stick the glass on. Now, let me find that little pot of sea glass. I used the smallest pieces and the thinnest pieces, so there wasn't a lot of weight in them. So, for instance, that one is a very, very fine piece of glass. I don't know if you can see that. So that would be a good one. I don't know what I'm going to do with all this sea glass. I've been rapidly Googling what to do with sea glass, to look for things to do with it. All there's loads of it. And I said to my friend, "Are you sure you want to give it away?" And she said, "Oh yeah." She says, "The pleasure's in finding it." And I thought, well, she's right. I've never ever found a piece of sea glass. I've looked, but I don't think I've got the patience. So I don't ever find any, which is quite pleasing that I've now been given some. So that's my glue charged. I like this glue gun because it gives a very small blob. I wasn't using it yesterday because the charge had run out. This is a rechargeable cordless one. So a little bob of glue on the end of my wire and stick the glass on it. Resist the temptation to give it a squeeze because that will burn your finger until it cools a bit. Let's try that now. But we want to make sure it's on firmly. Some of these weren't as firm as others, so they have dropped off. Some of them were too firm, so they've got great big blobs of glue on the back. But that is the tree. You can then just maneuver the branches to how you want them, and these little kinks, they all add to the charm of it. I'll put the two side by side so you can see similar in height. This has got a little bit more bulk to it, the silver one, because the wire is finer. The other thing you can do is use stem wrap maybe on the trunk, but that would mean that your branches were a different colour to your trunk, so that's probably not a brilliant idea. Anyway, that's our wire tray. Let me just turn the camera back up. My tripod's just needs tightening, that's it. Okay, so that has been quite a short session for us, only a half-hour session. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have a go. It's very simple and it uses minimal. It's cheap craft, a cheap and effective craft. Looks beautiful. Now these would be really nice as given as presents. I think I would love to receive something like that, even though I've made it myself. I will try and put up my finished bead tree. You don't even have to have any decoration on it. Particularly the copper wire just looks beautiful on its own. So I tried yesterday stripping the wires and I was just rubbish at it, and I thought this is going to take forever. I'm better off practicing with wire I've already got. So if you have a go, let us have pictures. My you can pop them up on my Facebook page or send them to me via Messenger, and I will pop them up. I'll put my own finished tree on my page to show you, probably by tomorrow now. And I am back in a fortnight's time, which I think is I want to say the 9th of February. We are going to do something for Valentine's Day, something with fells. So you can look forward to that. So I hope you join me again then. I know there's been a few of you watching. There hasn't been many comments, but please comment if you've enjoyed it. If you're watching later, comment #later, and I'll see your comments. Thank you very much for joining me this morning, and I will see you in 2 weeks' time.